It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Columbia, this is Houston, AOS, over.
What's going on, folks? Welcome to another episode of the Knicks Wall Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Maggio, joined by my co-hosts, Shaun and Mike Cortez. What's going on, fellas?
Yeah.
Let's get it. We got the dub.
Probably the best. I wouldn't say the best one of the season. I think opening night was still best. I like the Sixers win at the Garden too, but this is up there, especially after the playoff drubbing that happened to us last year. And not for nothing, but this game had basically what you want as an objective basketball fan, because Trey did what Trey needed to do also in terms of showing up. I think he had 33 on us. And I mean, he beat us the way, Trey likes to pull it up from the logo, whatever, but defense was good in important moments, quickly played him really well inside the arc anyway. You can't do much about guys like him outside of the arc, but inside of the arc, he made him work. They cut him off a little bit on the defensive side of the ball. He wasn't able to hide as much. They were actually finally attacking him and picking rolls and things like that, which we complained about for an entire playoff series, and it didn't really seem to ever adjust. So good to see Tibbs, chew on that for 6-7 months and come back and actually use it. But, Mike, I'll toss it up to you. I mean, what were your thoughts? I mean, it was a very shorthanded team. A lot of faces were playing, but I mean, what were your thoughts, notes from this game?
Well, I'm going to start right in the second quarter when my favorite lineup debuted with it was Grimes, Sims, RJ, Obi, and Quickly. And surprisingly, guys, you're going to be shocked by this, but they fucking crushed. That's something we should see way more often, and something we shouldn't have had to have waited for because literally everyone was injured. So hopefully that opened Thibodeau's eyes. Obi to Grimes lob. I mean, that was by far the top Knicks play of the year so far. That was fucking vicious. And I don't know, I was really impressed with Grimes. Quickly, 7 assists. He looked like quite a maestro. He looks like somebody that can actually play point guard. Another shocking development there. And then Obi, I mean, he still played less than 20 minutes, which is whatever, but he made the most out of it in 16 minutes. RJ looked good again, finally. I think he had the best plus-minus from the night. Shot up right above 50% or just below it. I can't remember off the top of my head. But point is, he looked good. Randall was but I thought Mitch was another key piece, and I kind of showed that we missed him. I know Wally made that point quite a few times last night, but I do think that he was right in the sense that you could tell Mitchell Robinson was sorely missed. And I don't know. I think the Hawks are always a fun matchup, but I think it's a matchup the Knicks should win when they're right.
Yeah, that game, I feel like I needed that game for my psyche, just in how I've been feeling toward the team, how the team has been making me feel. As you said, Mike, that IQ, Grimes, RJ, Obi, Sims lineup was like the most optimal form of basketball I've seen in a very long time. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed every single minute they spent on the floor. They were active on both sides. They were getting out in transition. And Emmanuel Quickly, I mean, like, we can't say enough about him. I mean, in the box score, he only had 9 points and 7 assists, but he played an excellent game, and he really changed that entire game. It's the pace that he plays with, like he pushes the ball, he gets us going up and down on the floor. And I think that does a lot for us offensively. And that is also added by the pressure he applies defensively. So, he's first to the ball, loose balls, all of that. And he gets guys involved, and he's getting into like yesterday, he was really getting into the teeth of the defense. He was coming up that screen and getting downhill and getting to the free throw line and either getting that floater up or making kickouts. He had one that was like the first Grimes 3, and it was so beautiful. IQ came around and made like a cross court pass through like everybody and to Grimes in the corner for the 3. I just love the way that he's playing basketball right now. I hope that we keep leaning into that. I hope that we either, give him the starting role or just, play him as many minutes as possible. He's been phenomenal. Obi has been great lately still, even though somehow he played less than 20 minutes with no Nerlens, no Taj, but not even going to trip about that because we got excellent minutes from Jericho Sims, which is also another positive development. Like Jericho looks so much better than he did the last time we saw him on the floor. And I think that's huge, one, for Jericho and two, for this staff. I mean, clearly there's a lot being done behind the scenes, because we knew that he was athletic. We knew all of that, but he was just incredibly raw. He looked like he didn't know where to be all the time. He kind of looked like he didn't have his feet under him. And, last night he was really, really good. I mean, he did a really good job on Capella. He got a block on Capella. He was patrolling the paint. He had Hawks scared to drive. He did an excellent job on the boards. And even beyond the job he did on the boards, I think he had 6 boards last night, but it doesn't show the impact. It doesn't reflect the impact he had because he was boxing out, something that not everybody does, but he was actively boxing out and, high pointing the ball. It was beautiful, man. Like, shout out to Jericho Sims. Knowing that we can get those kind of minutes from him, at this point in the season is beautiful. And I'm really excited to see where his development takes him going forward. And then Quentin Grimes. I mean, I love Quentin Grimes for every single minute that he's on the floor. And I hope that we find a way to get him more minutes. I really like the move. I really like the move of resting Kemba instead of watching him get cooked by Trae Young. I think Tibbs did a really good job with the rotations last night, even though Obi didn't play enough minutes in my opinion. But, otherwise he did a really solid job with the rotations. The move to start Alec Burks worked out. Alec Burks has been phenomenal. And he was able to, one thing that we didn't do in the playoffs, and it really bothered me, is we didn't attack Trae Young. Like, we allowed them to hide Trae, even when it wasn't Reggie or Alfred. Like, when he was on RJ for multiple possessions, he would be on Alec Burks, and we didn't attack that. So last night we made a concerted effort to attack Trae Young, and that's good. In the playoffs, I wanted to see what's McMillan's counter for that. Like, what are they going to do when we attack Trae Young? And we never made him show the rest of his hand. So I think yesterday, by attacking Trae Young, it really allowed us to get, consistent offense. And IQ did an excellent job on him in the fourth quarter. I mean, 31 points for Trae through the first 3 quarters. He was hitting his threes from downtown. And even that, like one of those deep threes, Alec Burks kind of looked at him and it's like, bro, he's going to shoot from out there. Like, get a hand up. And another time he came off the screen and Julius didn't really step up and he just pulled. But in the fourth quarter, Emmanuel quickly had him in jail. Like, it was beautiful. He really locked him up. He was getting through the screens. He was staying attached to him. He was denying the ball. Like, it was a clinic on how to defend Trae Young. And he really didn't score in the fourth quarter. He got 2 garbage time points, but Emmanuel quickly really had him in jail. And we absolutely love to see it, man. Like, the way that he played on both sides of the ball last night was exemplary.
Yeah, one thing, I didn't mind the Burks thing because Tibbs trusts him. He's been playing well. And again, we've been saying either guard spot, right now has sort of been susceptible to a change. 48 has been at least a little bit better with not disappearing for multiple games at a time. Again, it's a very short sample, but over the last week, he's at least, disappearing a game, then bouncing back, which is, better than the alternative that we started with. So that's good. And I have no problems with Burks playing more minutes, big minutes. I don't have an issue per se, but this is my gripe. Okay, so we draft these guys, right? We draft the Emmanuel quickly. We draft the Obi Toppin. We draft Jericho Sims, Quentin Grimes, Deuce McBride. We draft these guys, right? And then there's no path for them to not just start, but oftentimes play big minutes. It took Jericho, Noel and Taj being out to see 20 minutes, right? Obi, even with those 2 bigs being out, doesn't see more than 15 minutes, right? That's just 15, 20 minutes, right? 20 especially. They got 16 against the Hawks, but normally that's where he hovers. Quickly, obviously played a lot. He's been playing more than some of the other guys because they've needed the production from guard a lot, I guess. But my concern is that what you hit on some of these guys, right? You hit on that. You see the talent, you see the production, you see the results, and they don't really see what they've got in some of these guys sometimes, and that confuses me because it's not, I'm not even all about play the kids anymore in totality. I think some of them, yeah, for sure, right? But in totality, like that mantra drop when we started winning games, right, and winning Tibbs' way, and okay, he wants vets, that's fine. You got to be able to contribute immediately, that's fine. But quickly and Obi do, and then they struggle to see more minutes, right? And it's like even Tibbs says in the presser, like, oh, the player that Obi is today, that's why he's playing. Okay, but he played 15 minutes a game last year and he wasn't as good. Now he's playing 15 minutes again. and he's better, right? So you admitted it in the presser. So it's like you know Quickly got better, right? My point is more about Quickly, right? So we're in the same situation again where these guards just aren't performing as well as they should. Whether it's Kemba one night or Fournier the next, and Burks is more of a spot start kind of guy, right? Tibbs likes him off the bench. What is the path to Emmanuel Quickly ever starting an NBA game for the New York Knicks at either guard position? Again, because you both know I don't give a flying fuck about whether people want to argue if he's a point guard or a shooting guard. I just classify him as a guard. It's 2021. You could play either one of those spots depending on how you play the other. It doesn't matter to me, right? What does he got to do? Because to me, they sort of need that upside, right? That shooting upside, that creation upside that he could bring. The way that he attacks very vertically, right? He attacks you off the dribble. He attacks in an element that the other guards don't do or struggle to do presently, right? Fournier's beating nobody off the dribble. Nobody. Gets into the paint, chucking up some bullshit off the backboard. Kemba's cooking nobody anymore, right? 1-on-5 game here and there, mostly as a spot-up shooter. Quickly, and again, even the passing last night, there's that one pass, the one to Obi right near the rim. Obi jumped a little bit early to get it, but it was right where it needed to be. So, clearly this guy can feed, especially bigs. That's the thing he does best, is feed these bigs near the rim. And I just don't know how there's no path that exists, right? Like, it's one thing if you had a surefire starting point guard that it was going to take a lot, like a real 15, 5, good efficiency. It's going to be tough to overtake that guy, right? I would understand it. But 2 years in a row now, we have not had that problem. And 2 years in a row, there's no clear path to quickly getting more minutes and earning that time. And to me, as much as I like Kemba and I want him to succeed, right? It's evident that he's been struggling tremendously. Quick has been playing defense, just like Shaun highlighted. And this is not just a Hawks game thing. This is an all-season thing. He's been doing it in all of his minutes, and largely against opposing benches, but then he's played down the stretch in fourth quarters before, and he's more than held his own. I'm just a little bit confused. Normally, when you hit on a draft pick, especially a guard with immense shooting upside, to me, you try to get him more reps. You try to see at least what you have, because I don't get what the point is of why are we even drafting kids then if they're not going to play? I don't get that. If that's the case and you love your veterans, don't make a pick. Don't make a pick, package them together, go upgrade for an actual star who's a veteran, and you're going to play them immediately. Because to me, it's very frustrating when I get why you guys, even with the Grimes stuff, right? I understand every time people see the appeal and these youngsters, they want them to play. But it's frustrating for me because it's like, damn, man, are we wasting our time even talking about it sometimes? Because that there's no path, even for Quickly, a guy who's had immense responsibility, immense games, big games where he's gone off. And he can't earn more time. And I don't get it. That's my only real gripe. I don't understand. I'm all for being hesitant for changes when guys like an RJ, right? You want to stick with an RJ, it's your number 3 pick, right? You don't want to move him out of the start. Sure, fine. Context makes sense. The journeymen that are starting in our backcourt, if they're not producing, why do they need to keep getting time if you've hit on a pick and it's confirmed you hit on the pick? So that's frustrating for me. I would like to see a clear path. But again, if Grimes doesn't play big minutes this year, fine, whatever, okay. But you have multiple guys already that you've hit on that you're struggling to even give minutes to. And then what? Next year, we're going to draft more kids. And where are they going to sit? And where on the bench? We got 5 kids right now that can't even smell time. So that's my only frustration. I think some of these guys, mostly Quickly, we know Obi for sure has earned 20 plus minutes a night, but it's damn, man. What do they got to do? What do they got? I'm confused. What do they got to do?
What makes it even worse is the starting lineup has stayed the same since we've last spoke, and it's still the worst 5-man unit in the league. It plays has the most minutes in the league, first of all, and it has a minus 15.7 net rating. It's just not working. For whatever reason, it's just not a good mix. I know in the grand scheme, it's still a long season, but at some point, the sample size is big enough to warrant some type of change. And just what you're talking about with Quickly having a path to start, I think flopping him for Kemba might be the move. Fournier could also get lost, but we'll get to him later. But I think Kemba, what he's been showing this year is just been being able to score in bunches, in a nice bunch, whether it's in the first quarter, second quarter. He does it once a game. I feel like that's really perfect for a bench guy. I think he could fit next to Rose, or if you want to do him and Burks, because Burks is not a slouch defensively where you can actually survive off it. I don't see why that's just not something that's in the cards, other than Thibodeau's kind of set his mind on this being his starting unit, because we saw it last year. The rotations are pretty much the same as last year. The only difference is we didn't notice it was the full starters because Alfred was there. We were just saying, can we get Alfred out? But now I'm really starting to notice that he really just stays to the same rotation every game. And then fourth quarter is where he kind of improvises depending on the situation. So I think Thibodeau's just going to be stuck in his ways, and it's kind of confusing because he's thrown away good minutes and possibly something that can elevate the ceiling.
Yeah, it is frustrating. I mean, I'm not so much on, I was heavily on, calling out Fournier when he was playing like shit. So I've been heavy on saying he's playing well now. He's hitting shots. Like that's what he's here to do. If he's hitting shots, I'm not complaining. We're 7-0 when he scores 15 or more points, which, it's a shame that he's only had 15 points 7 times. But hey, you got to just find ways to keep getting him shots. And while he's shooting well, I won't complain about him. But Kemba can sit down, like honestly and truly, and not even in a, anger way, not even in a we need to find a scapegoat way. Just this team needs to play the best basketball it possibly can. And as you said, Kyle, when you hit on a draft pick, like what is he here for? We brought Kemba in. It was a nice idea. It was a flyer. $9 million a year for 2 years, whatever. Cool. One of the coolest things about that was that it was low risk, high reward. If Kemba's not panning out the way you want him to, you just play Emmanuel Quickly more. I said that from the moment we got him. Kemba's not playing the way we wanted him to. And beyond that, Emmanuel Quickly is simply playing better than him. He's playing better than him. He's giving us more. And like you said, Mike, Kemba scores in bursts every once in a while. And, he can then do it off the bench. Do it off the bench where you scoring in a burst is nothing but a plus. Like instead of when you're in the starting lineup and you're a starting point guard, and then any moment where you're not scoring in a burst, you're hurting us. No, scoring your burst off the bench, cool. We got these 7 or 9 points from Kemba in this 8-minute stint. That really helped us. He hit a couple threes today, cool. If you hit a couple more, you stay out there even longer. Even on nights where Kemba scores well, he doesn't really play in the fourth. So start Emmanuel Quickly. I do not know what we're waiting for. I'm no longer asking nicely. Start Emmanuel Quickly. It seems very, very simple. Or even if you want to keep going with the start Alec Burks thing, I don't care. Kemba Walker shouldn't keep starting. Like, we shouldn't keep doing the same thing. You can't keep putting the square peg into the round hole. Like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I look at to me like this was sort of the math problem when everybody kept saying like, "Oh, we got all these picks. We got all these picks." For a couple of years now, hey man, you gotta trade some. And then as soon as Tibbs came, I was like, hey, you especially got to trade some because these kids are not going to play. If they do, it's going to be 1 or 2. That's it. They're not. We're not going to have some jam-packed roster full of first and second year players, and Tibbs is playing all these guys. It's just not going to happen. Nobody's going to play. So, I mean, I would like to see that because the last couple of years they've been very conservative with how they do picks too. They move down in drafts. They do 2023 future pick stuff, and at a certain point you just kind of burn picks to burn picks. That they are still gold in this league, and not using them when you have a surplus and an advantage of them, basically, especially when you hit on guys these last couple of years, it's kind of bad. I mean, this team's in a position where they clearly still need more. They still need top tier production from a star. Like, Julius, of course, they locked him in at a pretty reasonable deal for the next 4 years. But, the whole point of the additions they made was based on the role players they brought in. They at least supposedly believe they're going to take some of the pressure off of him and RJ, and also that RJ was going to take a step forward. RJ been playing like shit mostly. He had a good game against the Hawks. He's been playing like dog shit. The defense disappeared up until basically the Bulls game again. And then he remembered he has to guard DeMar DeRozan, maybe woke him up a little bit. But, if these guys aren't going to produce consistently, then you can't really just stand pat and just go, okay, man, we paid $80 million and, we paid Kemba and that's it. We're just going to ride with this team. Because it's a loser mindset. You got to be aggressive too. And again, I'm not saying ship everybody out immediately, but you have draft picks. Like, you still have cap space. Like, you can get shit done. You know what I mean? Like, you can figure out, you have the salaries to make moves. You have Nerlens Noel sitting there on the bench. That's a big salary. You have guys you can move around, The whole reason everybody supposedly liked a lot of these deals in the Knicks sphere was because you could package some of these. And again, I'm not even always saying the superstar thing either. There's guys like before Ja Morant went down, I like Melton potentially, right? There's ways you can get creative where you're not going to cost an arm and a leg, and you can still get some of these guys in that could try to play a little bit. But you got to do something. Sometime soon, you got to do something with some of these picks because it's going to be 2024 real quick. We're not going to have any picks to move anymore, and we're just back on the every year we have our own pick again thing. And then where did the surplus go? We just sat on it. We drafted a guy overseas. We stashed a pick. Like, I mean, if these guys aren't going to play now when you're trying to win now, then I don't know really why we're being like halfway aggressive with it. And even with the whole they don't want to spend money thing, they're being mad cautious, right? Until Evan Fournier, $80 million showed up. So if you are opening the checkbook up. So why are we being aggressive for Evan Fournier, but we're not being aggressive in the trade market maybe either? You know, there's guys to be had. There's guys to be had every year. I don't even get caught up on one dude anymore. Every year, there's 2 or 3 guys on the move. 2 or 3 guys that could be had. You know, I would like for the Knicks to finally do that. You know, go get creative. The whole point of hiring in CAA and having a bunch of picks was so that these guys can go figure something out and get a guy. I have yet to see them go really get a guy. Like Evan Fournier is not the guy you go get, but they got him. So who else? Who else? What else are we going to do here? To me, this team's going to lack that extra oomph the entire rest of the season until something's done. So I don't know. And again, maybe it's as simple as quickly starts, plays big minutes, plays no less than 25, 30 a night, and that helps things. I don't know, but they need something. They need something. I mean, look at the Sixers with Maxey. They just let him play. Ben Simmons went down and they're just like, fuck, we'll just see what we have finally. Just let him play. Just throw the ball out there. And all of a sudden, every game, this guy's 25-5. Some wild shit, right?
Yeah, he's averaging 18.
Who knows? Who knows what these guys can do? You got to let them play, man. Guys, you draft them for a reason. You don't draft them so that you can just call them a young kid on the bench for 3 years, and then all of a sudden the deal's up, and Kevin Knox is walking out the door. Frank Ntilikina is walking out the door. You just drafting guys that don't play, and then they're gone. It's like you got to play guys. You got to play guys, or else even Obi, right? You drafted an older guy, NBA ready. That's the whole thing. NBA ready. He's got to play. He can play now, today's game. And he can. And then you don't play him. You think Obi likes that, knowing he's 23, 24 years old, an older guy already entering the league, knowing he can play, and he doesn't play? I mean, guys are going to want to play. Quickly knows he can play. He's not an idiot. He played with Elfrid Payton the whole season. He knows he's better than Elfrid Payton. He's watching these other guys stink it up most nights, right? And he's like, all right, I can only play. I can only come off the bench, and I can only play with the supervision of Derrick Rose most nights. And it's like, I mean, damn, eventually that shit gets tiring. You know, eventually you want to just play. Like for sure, like you're a basketball player. We've all played basketball, right? Like eventually, yeah, like if all I do is the same, like, okay, I'm going to catch the ball once a game, twice a game, I'm not going to really do much. Do you get engaged? Do you get excited to play basketball? Not
it's
really.
Most certainly not the same that way. Like I feel like we just have to let him go. Like with Emmanuel quickly. And I also feel like even beyond, I feel like the offense can't keep running through Julius the way it does. And I've been saying this, I feel like for weeks, but I feel like Emmanuel quickly and the way that he has looked and how poised he's been, like you just have to put the ball in his hands. And I feel like it makes life easier for everybody. We have way too many of those possessions where it's okay, here's Julius and he dribbles until 10 or 8 seconds left on the shot clock. And now there's a dribble handoff and somebody's coming off that dribble handoff with 5 or 4 seconds on the shot clock. Like you're going to take a bad shot almost inevitably because at this point you have to take the first shot you get because you're running out of time. That's not an efficient way to run the offense, and it's not helping Julius or the other players. I think that with Emmanuel quickly, with the way that he was operating in the pick and roll, getting into the paint, disrupting the defense, I feel like he creates a lot of opportunities for other guys. The ball gets moving. At one point yesterday, him and RJ were kind of alternating between who was going to take possessions, and it was beautiful. It was the best offense we've seen. And then we saw Julius come back in the game and completely sap the momentum and energy. And we didn't score for like the last 2.5 minutes of the half. And is that all Julius's fault? No. A large part of it is it's definitely the energy. It was very noticeable. A lot of people were talking about it yesterday because we all see it. But beyond that, it's the way that the offense is like focused and he's the focal point of it and everything has to go through him and he has to bring the ball. No, let him quickly play point guard. let Julius Randle be a power forward. He can be a point forward in moments, have him get rebounds and take off and run the break, every once in, or, do a dribble handoff up top and have him attack downhill, whatever it may be. But this offense can't just keep being, okay, set up for Julius to get an ISO and then hope we get something else after that. Because what happens is everybody else ends up standing around. And as Kyle was just saying, you're less excited about basketball when you're not involved in it. And I feel like that's one of the things with Evan Fournier. He was saying in his post-game interview, and I'm telling you, that report where two Knicks were saying something about the offense, if it is real, Evan Fournier is 100% one of them. I know it for a fact because I can just hear it in the way he talks about the game. He's like, and I was very happy to hear him say it. He's like, the Lakers game, he's like, I feel like this game is indicative of who we are as a team. Like, we get up to a really good start moving the ball, and then we just stop. And I feel like Evan Fournier suffers the most from the lack of ball movement because we don't really want him putting it on the floor. And he really gets great, easy looks when we move the ball well. So it's probably doubly frustrating for him. And that doesn't help. But, if we have the ball moving, if Emmanuel quickly we're getting up and down, we're pushing in transition, we're getting into the paint, swinging, kicking it out, all of those things that Tibbs says he wants, rim reads, all of that, spray outs, let it happen.
I think the main thing is that Julius and maybe Thibodeau to a lesser extent, they just haven't gotten used to having adequate help now. Because last year he kind of had to be the one-man wrecking crew, definitely the first half of the season. I would say almost the full regular season. That's just not the case this year. I think everything Quickly and Obi showed in the summer league has translated. And I'm looking at Quickly versus Maxi's per 36. They're nearly identical. The only difference is Maxey is just playing way more minutes. So I don't see any reason why Quickly can't be given at least more minutes. I know trying to rejigger the starting lineup with Tibbs is like speaking to a wall, but there's stuff to warrant here. And then another thing that we underrate with Quickly is he's probably one of the few guys that has shared the floor a decent amount of time with everyone on the roster. So he kind of knows everyone's spots the best, I would say. Like if I had to guess of who knew where everyone was, Julius, that's not the case. Julius plays with the ones mostly, and there's just some gaps. And there's just no need for the ISO post-ups. It's just not really doing much. And that's where I thought Kemba was going to help, because this is kind of the same offense that we saw last year when we had one of the worst scoring point guards in the world. So that's kind of the biggest help point. I think Quickly gives you a bump with that. And like I said earlier, Kemba can easily fill into what Quickly did for the bench. I think it's time to reward your guys. If it's a meritocracy, he has the merits to move up.
Yeah. Look, and the only thing I want to, Julius has got to play better. I don't think he's adjusted to this offense yet. I don't think he's adjusted entirely. I will say, too, though, when we talk about this stuff at the same time, defenses do things well against us is the other part of this. It's not always just we didn't move the ball or a player didn't move the ball. Like oftentimes things get blown up, especially when we don't have the best movement from our starting perimeter guys. Like, RJ for a long period of the season was just sitting in the corner, not really actively cutting as much as he should be. A lot of these little handoffs and things, these little two-man games that they like to do with Fournier. Fournier's not that fast. Guys get up into him. Guys blow things up. Guys cut him off, ruin his routes. Again, it's not all of it, the majority of it, but this is part of the issues too with the starting group about why these guys have all been disjointed to different degrees. Because when Fournier is actually getting to his spots in a clear, open way, Julius and him actually work pretty well together. And I think he shoots really well off Julius' assists. So, obviously we want to see more of that, but at the same time, we got to keep running our stuff effectively. And I feel like a lot of games we don't run clean actions with the starting group. So it's not always just about, the ball didn't move. Like, yeah, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we get stuck in an ISO. But, sometimes we got to consider too, you get stuck in these things because the offense isn't moving the way you want, or because an action got blown up and now you just got to go to your quick secondary thing. So, I mean, to me, I think with so many of the guys struggling, we keep calling it the all or nothing with this team so far. It's been like RJ's either missing everything or he has a good game. Fournier either gives you 20 points or he gives you 3 points. Kemba gives you 26 or he gives you 5. And it's like, yeah, like, why can't you just score 15? Why can't you just score 12? Why can't you just give something in the middle? And I think if we could start getting those kind of performances, like RJ didn't have an amazing game, right? He just had 15 points. just a good normal game, good regular. I contributed, I showed up game, and look how much better the offense looked with him and Fournier just making shots. You could survive Julius not being on right, because guys are making their shots just a little bit. So I would like to see them run more of that stuff. They got to work on this stuff, and guys got to play confidently. Even little things like RJ wasn't settling for threes last night was what I liked. I mean, there was a couple times where he would catch the ball and he would just pump and then drive quick, but effectively. A lot of times these guys like pump and then they kind of dick around with the ball, like they're confused. They don't know what they want to do. They're timid. So, yeah, I mean, just be more quick as a starting group effectively. But yeah, they just got to run cleaner stuff, be more decisive. It's going to help the overall. And this is Julius included, because he's been as confused to me as anybody when he comes in, and it looks like sometimes like things aren't going to go where they should have went, and now he's got to kind of like he spins back. He's looking for somebody else. He does that, he jumps to go look at and pass at somebody. They're not where they're supposed to be. There's been a couple times where he's done that. He's had to turn and kick all the way back out. So I'd love to know like the actual intricacies of that, but something's not being run properly most nights is what I feel like. But yeah, I mean, because again, even with the Julius stuff, before the Lakers, the Lakers game too a little bit, right? He started to come together a little bit more. Like he started to look like himself. Like, the Bulls game, obviously we know about. The game after that, again, he had a good game. Two in a row. Started to look like he was turning the corner a little bit. Lakers game, I wouldn't say hit a snag, but he came out guns blazing. He looked great. I didn't understand. I understood a little bit of the complaining, but at the same time, like the guy gave you damn near 20-20 and was throwing dimes. Then it's like I mean, if he played a perfect game, yeah, it would have been nice to see him have 35, 20 something and 10. Of course, it would have been nice to see an all around monster perfect game. But like, I thought he mostly did his job. Like, I mean, he was hustling, he was fighting for boards, he was winning them. Like, again, everybody could always be better, of course, but I didn't really have much of a problem with the Lakers game. But it's games like this that when we talk about the all or nothing, like, yeah, I'm thankful that you were rebounding a little bit, right? He had 11 rebounds against the Hawks. Okay, cool. And I'm thankful you were, getting those assists, but you can't not score to this degree. You can score less. You could be passive. I think that's fine. I think he went 3 of 14. He just didn't make some shots again too. But it's like sometimes like the first half, he didn't look like he was trying to score at all. For the most part, he just didn't. He was just, again, feeling things out. And that's fine when you're the engine. You're tasked to do it. You got to feel things out. But at the same time, you got to like impose your will a little bit, like you did in the Bulls game, the game after that. You got to find ways to like do that regularly. Even just like a quick, easy couple points to your points about the ball movement. Like, yeah, you just got to figure it out. Like if RJ's flowing, try to work off RJ a little bit more. Get you a couple easy ones like we saw in the second half when he got out in transition. RJ fed him nicely, right? I mean, like, this is what you got to try to work on if you're Julius. Obviously you have the all-around game and capacity to do these things, but now you got to start doing a little bit more consistently. You're the number one. You're the star on this team. Like, this is what it is. You can't have these 8-point games. Like, that's the thing that bothers me the most. I could deal with a bad shooting night. I could, whatever. But even then, 3 of 14, he makes a couple more shots. He still has barely 14, 15 points. It's like, we got to really, get you back near that 20 games almost every, 20 points every night type thing. Because RJ's been struggling. And this was supposed to be a 1-2 punch of RJ and Julius this season, taking another stride with the help of their new friends, the free agents, right? The help of these guys weren't supposed to be main cogs. We shouldn't be living or dying with Evan Fournier having a good shooting game. We shouldn't, but here we are because guys aren't being consistently good, and most of that's going to fall on RJ Randall. But Mike, I know you tweeted something that made all of us very, very upset the other day about coming into the Hawks game where RJ's last 10 games up to that point. And the numbers were, they were disgusting. They were, hold on, I just had it disappeared. I don't know how that happened.
Objectively gross. It was just objectively gross.
Yeah, the number, it was bad. It's like, it was like 20, here it is. Okay. This was before a Hawks game. 10.3 points per game, 6 rebounds a game, about 2 assists a game, 29.6% from the field. Hurts me to even read it out loud. 23% from 3. Just like disgusting. And I tweeted this, but obviously we know he's talented. We've seen him take over games both ends. multiple games. And again, I don't believe it, especially for him. The whole last season was a fluke thing. I'm sorry. You made jump shots. You sat there. You made jump shots. That's not, to me, it's not a fluke. You made jump shots. You played really good defense. You improved your finishing numbers at the rim over a long period of time. To me, that's not a fluke. So whatever's going on with you, I think it's confidence with him. Usually, I hate doing the armchair psychologist stuff, but he's been stinking it up. But I mean, Mike, what is it to you? Because we have an agenda here, the three of us. We've had a tried and true, a strong agenda. We have run many victory laps. We enjoy calling them out. We are exhausted at certain times from all the victory lapping we've done with RJ Barrett. But our agenda's in the mud right now. So, I mean, again, quick bounce back game with the Hawks, but what the fuck is going on with Rwan?
I don't know. I think I pulled a hammy on the victory lap this time because it slowed down considerably. Since he had that streak of 20-point games mixed in with his career high 35, he's still averaging 10 points, 6.2 rebounds, which is good. But 1.8 assists is kind of what strikes me the most. It's okay if you're not going to hit your shots, like shooting slumps or whatever, but I feel like he's just not involved where he wasn't. Last game, we started to see a little more of that, where he's just not involved. Like, we've seen a lot of times him just stand in the corner on offense and he'll either launch a corner three or even have moments where he just doesn't look as comfortable as he did all of last year, where I felt like he kind of had his three levels figured out, where mid-range was going to be his pull-up zone, three-point was going to be his spot-up zone, and then he was going to use his strength to get to the rim. It felt good to finally see him use his strength again last night. He had a really nice and one, I think it was on Collins, where he kind of just blew through him. And I feel like that's what he should do more often. I think he was starting to try and do Euro steps a little too much and just not be involved overall. And it's kind of tailspin into some really gross numbers. Having said that, I think we've seen him go through some pretty cold spells before. So a performance like his performance in Atlanta is a little bit encouraging, but like I said, just to circle back, sorry if I'm talking in circles, but the assist, man, I don't understand why he's not taking that step forward, especially since there's really not a table setter in that starting lineup. So I feel like that's a role he can really grab if he wants to, because we hallmarked why Julius is not really the best person, even though he did a decent job as a point forward against the Hawks. It's just not something that's going to be a long-term solution. And if Kemba's not going to be that guy, I feel like RJ's the next leading candidate for that.
Definitely, it felt like RJ's supposed to be getting more creation opportunities. I've been frustrated with him not doing so. Can't be as loud about it while he's playing like shit, you know? So he's got to help me out so that I can go back to yelling about it. But it's always refreshing when we see it happen. Like he shot really well in the Lakers game, actually. He didn't play down the stretch because Evan Fournier was going off and Alec Burks was having a really good game. So that's kind of kept him on the bench in both of the fourth quarters recently. But and then yesterday in the Hawks game, we saw like a lot of the different things about good RJ. You know, he hit a couple of jumpers. I love the one play where Emmanuel quickly was pushing in transition, got it ahead to him. He had to look at the three in the corner. He pumped fake, took a couple dribbles in, got that floater to go. That floater that couldn't find the ocean from the shore for like 6 games in a row. He's finally getting it to drop the last couple games. So that's encouraging. And then there was one fast break play where he like got a rebound and took off, and he gave like the perfect pocket bounce pass to Julius in transition, and Julius finished for the dunk. And those are the reasons, like you said, when the 1.8 assists is alarming, because RJ is very capable, the creator. He's a very good passer. He has very good vision. He's a very willing passer. So I would hope that we are able to put him in position to be able to do those things. Like, you have to lean into what works for guys when guys are struggling. At least guys like RJ, somebody who's such a focal point of the team in general and the franchise. You know, he's important, so you got to try to get him going. So it's really nice to see him get going these last 2 games. Unfortunate that he wasn't able to play in the fourth quarter of either one. But I mean, if Fournier is on and Burks is on, I get it. I'm not tripping, not crying about it. So I just hope that he continues to play that way, because, man, does it do terrible things to my health when RJ is playing poorly. Like, it really hurts to watch. That and watching Emmanuel quickly miss jumpers. Those are my 2 least favorite things about basketball. So I need them both to be on, Aki is playing great. RJ's got a good couple games under his belt. And he's picking it up defensively as well now. So I need him to stay on that path. He's been hitting the boards. That's good. Hopefully he continues to do that. But we need the rest of the game. There's a lot of talk, bro, and I hate it's just crazy. The crazy thing to me, though, is all these people with all the RJ hate and all these told you so's and all of this. This was all silence last year. That's the crazy part to me. If you're going to evaluate a guy and be so obsessed with him, like it's people who are, I mean, there's Knicks fans who do it, whatever, they're frustrated and they're whatever. But like non-Knicks fans, it's like, if you're going to be so obsessed with a player, like don't only do it when he plays poorly. Please. That's one thing I always try to make sure I do. Like, look, I will be very loud about when Alec Burks was playing like shit. I was very loud about when Fournier wasn't hitting anything. And I will be the first guy to celebrate them when they start hitting. Because you got to evaluate the basketball that's being played. Don't wait until your agenda fits and then start evaluating basketball. It's bullshit. And people are going too far. Like I saw trade machine things for RJ, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, oh, go ahead, Mike.
No, well, maybe this might infuriate you a little more. But in that tweet, I saw people saying Rui Hachimura was better than RJ. Joe Harris, I saw. It was just really like over the top. Like, come on.
They always got to go too far. Oh, like I mean, there's valid. Listen, because the thing is, if we really want to be not that I agree with this stuff, but if you really want to like use the good comps, like say something about Darius Garland, say something about Tyler Herro, who isn't even starting. And is fucking cooking this season. I think he's averaging 21, 22. He's just back on again, right? Looks amazing. It is what it is. We clown, right? A lot of Knicks fans clowned him, right? I mean, that was the Hero RJ stuff. He's cooking, right? There's good examples you could use about like debates that have already been had that Knicks fans have been, I wouldn't say wrong about, but took the stand the opposite way last year. So if he's struggling, like there's easy stuff, like the Joe Harris stuff. I mean, shut up. I mean, it's too much. Like Get your jokes off. I mean, at the same time, like be a little bit reasonable. Because most of the times they act like they're not joking. They're being very serious. Like, no, he's actually not that good. It's like, all right. I mean, I don't know. Watch more basketball. I don't know what to tell you. There's good examples to use. There's not good ones to use. But yeah, I mean, the RJ thing's disappointing. He's got to pick it up. I mean, plain and simple. Like, my biggest thing, Shaun said about, every time he misses a jumper, like when RJ misses at the rim, to me, I feel like I get shot every time. To me, because he cleaned that up last year and started to figure out how to use his strength. And suddenly now he's going back to the little cutesy finesse finishes. And I hate that. I'm sorry, I really do. You're not a finesse finisher. You are not yet anyway. If you're working on it, you're trying to add it to your game, that's great. Doesn't need to be every trip you go down and trying to like do a cute little flip like you're RJ Barrett. You're built like an ox. You just got to run into guys sometimes. I think he forgets that. I'm not saying head down, full out charge, but he's really good about decelerating. But he does it so that he could avoid contact and then throw up some bullshit. And I would just prefer if he went back to doing like the Ja Morant move, just like, hey, get the fuck out the way. I'm going to just finish the layup. That's why his finishing numbers are better last year. At the rim, in the paint. We're not making this up. It's what happened. So seeing him like just totally go back to rookie year, RJ at the rim that to me is like the biggest. Because like if you miss jump shots, you miss jump shots like that. That sucks. But you're open, you missed the shot. All right. The offense worked. You got the shot you wanted. If you're not making them right now, not much you could do. It's a make or miss league, right? I can live with those. I hate when you have the advantage of strength at the rim, and these are guys that you bullied already all season last year, and you're not finishing consistently. And it's not like, it's one or two a game. He gets to the rim a lot. And he's not getting any of these. And I don't know if it's the rule change and it's bothering him a little bit. Guys could be a little bit more physical, a little bit more handsy with him now. It's possible, but you got to adjust. And you got to be a little bit better with that. You got to power through. That's my biggest thing with him. I mean, it makes me sick because, again, the jump shooting was great. He turned into a sniper, but, everybody said the no wiggle stuff. He's not going to be able to finish, get where he wants. And he started to do that. And then, again, to me, this has been a total reverting so far. So I feel like maybe he's got to get used to it. He does have a little bit of the Carmelo issue where he's got to basically be concussed to some degree or suffer severe head trauma to get an actual free throw attempt most nights. So I don't really know what's going on there, but yeah, he's got to pick it up, man. Look, it's year 3. I say this a lot about a lot of other guys, and I don't like to say it about RJ now, but hey, it's a results-oriented biz, man. I say this about everybody. You gotta put up or shut up. Even the guys that I often think are going to be putting up without issue, and RJ is one of those guys. Again, he started coming out of it a little bit. I don't want to like count our chickens before they hatch here, but you know, we really got to. We need another stretch here. You got to turn it on. We need another stretch where a couple 20-point games. Let's get back to business here. You know, you got to get flowing. Julius needs help. He's struggling with the offense right now. Somebody's got to step up. You know, 48 has had a couple of good games this last week. That's fine, but he's got to be consistent about it now. And then, yeah, I mean, RJ, where are you, man? We need you. Okay, the defense picked up a little bit this week. That's great. Was gone for a couple, but consistency now. Everybody just needs some level of consistency, a baseline of consistency, a floor that we could reasonably expect from these guys. That's all that I want. Because you're entering, you know, he's still only 21. Of course, he's a young player for the next couple of years even, but you still want to bank on some kind of progression every year. All young players do this, all the good ones. You know, if you take a step back now, it gets kind of scary. I think they're going to extend them no matter what. But it makes it difficult when I know coming into this year, he was definitely untouchable. Definitely. I know that for a fact they weren't going to move him unless it was like a guy, you didn't expect him to be available type thing and you had to move RJ, right? So I know that. But like now, if you're going to struggle in year 3, I don't want to see the trade machine things. Just like Shaun said, I think it's ridiculous. I think we have no patience. You ever notice, like with Knicks fans, we struggle with expectations because I've never seen teams in my life like hop to trade whoever the current struggling guy is the way that we do so fast. It's nauseating how fast we get there. Because even me, like I was openly vocal about the Fournier thing, but even me, I wasn't like, we got to hop on the trade machine. I need to trade this guy immediately. My first reaction was like, bro, I don't know. He's getting kind of blasted out there with the starters. Can we try him off the bench? I think he can cook off the bench. That was my suggestion. I thought it was a happy medium. Every time I log onto Twitter, whoever the current guy struggling is, we got to trade this guy. He's a bum. Get this guy off my team. We got to nuke it right now. I want him gone. And it's like, we can like reel it in a little bit, you know? We could talk about different things other than like, this one guy's to blame. This one guy's got to get traded, and that's it. Things will be better after that. I mean, I would like a little bit of patience and relaxation, you know? Like RJ's not got to, we don't got to shoot him to the moon because he had a bad first, well, not really first, a bad last 12 or so games. You know what I mean? We don't even want to play defense either. Like he was stinking, but like, I mean, what do you want us to do here? Everybody goes too far. All the time. I mean, maybe we got to bully them. You know, I get that, but damn.
Do you know he weighs more than Julius?
RJ?
Yeah.
No.
I found that fascinating.
That's kind of wild.
That's like really wild.
I don't believe you.
He's 1 pound high. He's listed as 226. Randall's at 225. That's wild. So like he should really be plowing through. Pause, but he should really be plowing through wings and guards. Like whenever he's matched up on a guard, if he hasn't post up, that's like something we still haven't really seen much of in his career, very sparingly, which they should really go back to because if he's the size, he's quite literally the size of a power forward. He should be killing guards. That's just something that we're not even tapping into.
We should definitely be taking advantage of it. RJ, so many times I'll see a guard on him in the post. I'm like, bro, give him the ball. We finally did it against Chris Paul, but Chris Paul's not really the guy to do it against, honestly. Very, very strong, very low center of gravity. Doesn't really get posted up very often.
Yeah, underrated.
I'm not sure how he pulls that off, but
I don't know. And I thought 2K was cap, and then I see him do it in real life. I'm like, all right, like he's actually really strong on the low. But one thing I want to ask you guys on Fournier is maybe because at first I was agnostic to it. At his highest aspiration, what the hell is he really bringing, like, to a really good team? Like, I really don't see anything more than Reggie Bullock without the defense.
What you saw about the last couple of games where he got hot is it. He doesn't. I see replies. I hope
it was -10 on Saturday with 20 points.
I hope that the reply guys like that do this in TKW listen to this pod regularly because like I'll see shit where like Fournier's cooking, and then you'll see some wild shit like. And he's playing excellent defense. And I don't understand that because we don't have to lie. Like, he's on fire, but he does not and has not played excellent defense in almost any game this season. He might have a good possession here and there. He is not like play. Like I really would love to. We were watching two different games. It feels like most nights at this point. I don't know who these fans are sometimes.
He's not a good defender. I'm sorry.
No, but like I mean, he's supposed to just make shots. Like that's it. He came to make shots, and the trade-off was we knew he was worse on defense. I don't know why everyone pretends he was part of some elite Steve Clifford defense, like an integral cog. He was not. They were good in spite of him. I don't know how many times I got to say this, but there's nothing wrong with that because you're trying to go for the gamble of the offensive upside, which we needed. And again, on a night like last night, when Randall's not making his shots or playing the way that he needs to as a true number one, Fournier scoring was very, very helpful. So that is what he brings, is that he can kind of get you up near 20 points, but like he's got to be able to get to the 15 regularly too.
Yeah, like he doesn't play spectacular defense on any night. Some nights he's more tolerable than others. But I just hope that he continues to shoot well. Like he has a higher ceiling for when his shot is falling. He is more offensively capable, but being more capable, like as Kyle always says, it's a results-oriented biz. Like I don't care what you're capable of if you're not doing it. So we need him to do it and to do it on a consistent basis. Like we shouldn't have to be like, well, Fournier's been shooting well these last 2 games. That should never be a thing that we say because you're supposed to do this on a nightly basis. Like not that you're going to be 6 for 8 from 3 every night, but you should provide shooting and scoring on a nightly basis if you're only here to shoot and score.
Yeah, and just the last thing that I would like to bring up is I'm pretty sure, didn't we give him nearly the biggest contract of his career? I mean, very close. We gave him basically the Orlando big payday they gave him in 2016, which was almost the same deal, which was 5 years, $85 million. And we gave him $480, right, with the team option. I just don't know what he's done to deserve like these giant deals. You know what I mean? And if you're going to have these giant deals, you got to be able to, and this isn't giant in today's NBA. So I want to really rephrase my statement, but still 80 million is 80 million. You can't disappear almost any nights. If you're going to make that money, you got to be like an automatic, at least 10. Like you struggle, but you got me 10 points. Like you're here to score. You're here to score. So literally like, and we saw like, Tibbs wasn't even afraid to sit him in fourth quarters, right? Like just straight up, just like, you're not making a shot. I don't know what you want me to do. You can't play this half. You can't play this quarter. That's embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing. And like that has happened like 7 times in 20 games. Like that's not a small number of times for that to have happened. You know what I mean? So he's been better. That's fine. But like, yeah, his entire appeal was basically tied to, is he making shots? And we're going to have to deal with this the entire year of if he's going to make shots or not.
It just bothers me that I thought he just had a better offensive bag. I feel like him going off is just him finding an open spot on the 3-point line and pulling, which I knew that was part of his game, but I also thought he had like something else. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking of the alternatives that we could have had to him a little too much. Like if we had Lonzo instead of Kemba and Fournier.
Don't get me started.
Like I feel like that's like a cleaner spending of your money, and it would have allowed easier rotation. I don't know. I could just be taking out Fournier, but I just wanted to get your take on that because it's been bothering me like the last few games.
We know I screened for it. We could have had Lonzo and IQ as our starting backcourt. Would have been just fine.
I mean, Lonzo's averaging just about the same points per game.
Yeah. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy.
I don't know. But it really like I just noticed in the Bulls game that just ever since that I kind of just been like grilling Fournier heavy.
Man, our defense would be crazy.
It really would. But you know who else has been crazy? Obi Toppin.
That alley-oop last night was one of my favorite moments as a Knicks fan. Like it was just so beautiful. I mean, like the rebound by Mitch that he fought for, him making an outlet pass, he's falling out of bounds. Quentin Grimes going to get it, going behind the back and tossing it up in the air. And then, wow, like I have so much love for Obi Toppin.
Yeah, it's just nice, when you have these finishers. And Mitch was the guy for a while, but now that they have Obi, they use him more in that role, which I mean, it's what we complained about last year was they didn't use him almost at all. They missed him all the time on these lobs and easy ones, but now they never seem to, which is good because as a guard, normally when you have a guy like that, you just throw it up. You throw it up. It's like the quarterback thing. Sometimes you got to make the perfect throw, and other times you just give your guy a chance to go get it. You just throw it in the air. You know he's going to get it, and that's what they've been doing more lately. Like that was nice because Grimes actually that was not a smooth dribble into the lob. He was actually very clunky. He was almost I don't know about lose it, but like he was not handling the ball well. He spun around a little bit, and all of a sudden he noticed like, oh, I still have time. I'm just going to throw this up. And he did. And like, that's all you need to do. And this is why, Mike, Shaun, we say this all the time. Basketball is a simple game. You don't got to complicate it. You got an athlete flying, running to the rim, throw it up, see what happens. He's probably going to get it most of the times, even quick, throws it up, right? Missed him. He still got it. Just because it was in the right spot and it was Obi Toppin receiving the pass. Throw it at the rim. Be more creative. Take more risks. A lot of times these guys get timid. The first action gets blown up and it saps them of all creativity. Like you can't do that, man. Just keep trying, keep having these attacks. Come at these guys in waves because that's what you notice with Obi right now. It's like he gets rolling and then he's like another dunk, or he's at the rim again. He gets a little, put back, something easy. It's like these are momentum guys. You want to just ride that. Basketball is a simple game with that. Just ride the hot hand, or at least the momentum. And if a certain style is working, just keep going back to it. Very simple. It's encouraging to see them keep finding Obi, man. They're very violent dunks now. That's what I like. Last year they were exciting. Now they're violent. Like
that one hand. I'm about to say that one hand. I remember I was like, when you're casually watching a game and then like you literally come out of your seat. So I was like, oh shit! Like I haven't seen that in a Knicks game in a very long time. I can't remember the last time I was like, oh shit, like in the middle of a Knicks game. That wasn't like a game winner type situation.
Nah, he legitimately punched that. Like it was crazy. So yeah, that oh shit moment was definitely a thing. Like he looked angry when he did it. And Obi never looks angry, but like he looked angry and he punched that alley. And when the ball went up in the air, that's the beautiful thing about RJ threw one of those to Jericho too, and he caught it and brought it down. Like once he starts bringing the ball down, he'll be one of the best centers of all time, clearly. But like you can just literally throw the ball up in the air. Like Quentin Grimes was behind the back and just toss it up in the air. It looks like an excellent pass, but like who knows if it is? But it's to Obi Toppin, so it doesn't matter if you just put it anywhere near the basket. Good money. Actually, the further away you put it from the basket, the better the highlight.
Facts. He's had a couple. I think he's just going to keep getting better and better in terms of that. It's just going to be really fun the rest of the way. But I just really love how he's been able to do that, play really good defense for his standards. Because we were like, that was like the one thing we were afraid of, him being toasted on defense. And I feel like it's kind of been the opposite. He's been a really good team defender. He's done his job. And then he's kind of kickstarting fast breaks, which is something that's not really found anywhere else on the roster. I feel like if they get a steal, when the second unit gets a steal, we're getting a fast break the other way, where if the starters get it, I know it's going to be slow walked up and then a half court set.
I think a lot of it's just like the contrast between what they ask for Julius and what they ask of Obi is wild, because like when Julius is on the floor, it's either the game plan or tips, whatever you want to call it, but like it's like give the ball to Julius, reset, and get into your shit, and let's run some stuff in the half court, right? And then with Obi, obviously he's your four, and he doesn't have to do any of that, so he's just running. And again, sometimes you got to just simplify the game and not just overly focus on doing the same stuff if it's working or not working. And as a guard, when a guy is running the floor well, that you just like every time you get the ball, you just got to look up because that guy's going to be available or on a path, on a route, and you got to find it. And I feel like, it seems like the guards usually follow Julius's lead after they give it to him, or they kind of like jog back. Everybody just kind of settles in. And it's like, guys got to be really ripping and running here. Even with Julius, like the whole appeal of Julius being a playmaking four is that he can push the ball in transition if guys are also sprinting and running too. This isn't even blaming them. It's also blaming Julius for walking it up a little bit. But it's like, get back to that. It's part of your game. It's the whole reason why we're excited about having a playmaking four, the dynamic ability of it. But if you're not going to use that and you're only doing the half court stuff, then it's like watching the playoff series all the time again because you get stifled. sometimes. Teams know how to game plan for you better. Year 2 now, Julius isn't catching anybody by surprise. He is the vocal point. They will trap him. We still have issues figuring out his own. So, yeah, I mean, you got to figure out how to get out in transition, and nobody runs the floor better than Obi Toppin. Nobody right now. But,
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, the way that Obi runs the floor literally makes us a better team. It opens the floor up for us, and when we push, coupled with Obi running the floor, it kind of it raises our ceiling. So I need us to lean into that more. The walk ups need to stop. Like I said earlier, like I love the pace that Emmanuel Quickley plays with, the pace that we play with as a team when he's running the show. He's always looking to get up and get out, and even the announcers take notice of it. Like he's getting it. He's getting up the floor. Everybody's running the lanes the way they're supposed to, like transition basketball. And, we look beautiful when we do it. So Obi needs to, and Obi's not the only person capable of running the floor. Like everybody's capable of running the floor. Obi does it better than everyone, but I feel like we'll be a better team if we really make an effort to do that. Like secure the rebounds and take off, bro. Get out of there.
Yeah, but yeah, look, I mean, couple of starters are coming along now. Rose has been out, Kemba's been out, up and down too. So, I mean, we'll see how this next week goes. Hopefully, at least RJ and Fournier are rolling a little bit more. I think over the last 4 games, Fournier has only had 1 game in single digits. He's had, I think, 20, 19, and 11, something like that. So he's, again, that's fine. That now this is about what we want over these last 4 games from him, right? So it's like if RJ can start contributing that way, we at least got a couple of the cogs in the starting lineup figured out. And if those guys are rolling, I would start to have a little bit more faith that Julius is going to start finding his way a little bit more if they're going to be making their shots. Because even the Lakers, that first half, it was the same way. RJ and Fournier, I think, came out. They hit a couple shots, right? Everyone started to look good, feel good. And you're like, oh, this is kind of what you want, right? This is sort of the attack, the style of playing off those 3 guys as your primary dudes, the scorers, right? So hopefully they start to settle in now, because now we're at the quarter-way mark. This is when I get real serious. I've been a little bit light to start the year. I have maintained I like to get to this spot, and now we are here. We're 11-9 right now. 11-9. Yeah, I mean, not excellent, but I think last year at this time we were below 500, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think we started off 8-10 last year. So being 11-9 is like, we should be better than this, but at least we avoided 500 last night. That's cool. Hopefully we never get to it.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if they even just one of those Magic games would have put us on a more normal, like, had we been like 12-8, you would have been like, okay. I mean, it was an ugly 12-8, but it's still 12-8. I'll take it. Like, at least that's how my brain works, with comparing to last season. But 11-9 is getting a little bit too close. I don't like that, especially with some of the disappointing losses. But wins are wins. At least they're getting them. At least we're still hanging in the playoff picture. That's all that we really got to do. We just want to avoid the play-in. Just avoid the play-in. What do we got to? We got to get the 6th seed to avoid the play-in, right? That's all I want.
Yes.
Just stay in that 4, 5, 6 jumble. I don't care if you're 6. I don't care if you have a bad record at 6. Whatever it is, stay in that 4, 5, 6 tier. Whoever's there, find a way to be there. That's it. It's like the Miami Heat strategy. Just get in that lower middle area of the playoffs. Just keep getting there, and then the good things will eventually happen. We'll get some guys that we want. Just keep getting there. So that's my goal. Get there. Obviously, you want to win a playoff series, but man, just guys.
I'm with that, but I also want to be top 3. I feel like we're capable of being top 3, and I want it.
Yeah, the Wizards are 3 right now. I feel like that's I feel like the Bucks are going to move up to 2 eventually.
Bucks are going to get 2 eventually.
Yeah, it's going to be Nets, Bucks, and then I feel like it's pretty open after that.
Yeah, not that I don't buy Sixers. I'll always like the Sixers as long as they have Joel Embiid because he's a monster. But, Bulls look good, man. They do. It's a real thing you got to worry about that they're now in the mix. I mean, they got to be aware. I mean, the Hawks haven't looked too great this season in all fairness. But, again, I mean, we haven't looked much better is the issue. We can only talk about teams looking better or worse than us to some degree if we're not doing our job. So, again, decent trajectory to be on, decent, but I think Vegas had us at about a 500 team coming into the season. we're playing like a 500 team, more or less. Sometimes it looks like less. So, I mean, you got to get serious now. They really got to get serious. I mean, it's getting late fast, man. We only got 50-something games, barely 60 games to go. December's here. I mean,
I feel like you want to be hitting your
Definitely
stride by
time.
Christmas. Like you have to show up for that game on Christmas, like playing near your, like really, you got to start kicking into gear around then. I think like if the starters are still like sluggish on Christmas morning, I'm going to be tight.
Facts. We really have to get that figured out. And I really want to sweep the Hawks this year.
Yep, me too.
I need that.
At least
So
at the
we need
Garden.
we need to get the second leg of that. We went in Atlanta, smacked them, held them to 90 points after they were averaging 120 over their 7-game win streak. Feels amazing. So now, Christmas Day in the Garden, I need that one too.
this is true. Look, they got to show up. They got to show up. Look, we did a lot of talking. Like, I back us up now. We would like to keep talking. That's how it works. So it's hard to do the talk we want to do when guys are struggling and we're almost a 500 team. So, yeah, I mean, next couple of weeks, look, start putting it together now. Fournier, keep making shots. RJ, keep picking it up. Randall, figure it out. Like, there's no excuses time now, man. You got to start putting up or shutting up. No more 8-point games from Julius. No more disappearing acts from the guys on the perimeter. Like, just figure it out, man. Put your head down, figure it out. That's all we want. Just win ugly, even like the Lakers game. We find a way to get it done. Get on to the next one. Let's just figure it out. But, on that note, we will let you guys go now. Appreciate the catch up. A lot of things. Look, it's been an exciting, very strange season so far. So always a lot to talk about. Always a lot of things we would want to tweak right now. Now that we know what the model is and things that, we want to improve, whatever, because Tibbs is always going to more or less do the same stuff. It gives us a lot of ability to think and be creative because, someone's got to, it feels like. So we're always thinking of ways that we want to improve the team. But, one big thing. Please follow the Knicks shitpost account. I almost get angry when they lose games now because we can't unleash stuff from the shitpost account. But wow. I mean, the guys on our social team who put this together. I mean, Josh Richardson, Handro, Pete. I mean, they've just been killing it, so I mean, it's a beautiful.
And it's been killing me. RJ's been bad because their RJ shitpost is so fucking funny.
Yeah, I mean the RJ's good. The which one? The Fournier we won. The Fournier we won. We monsieur. And then it goes right into like the sonic music playing in the back. Yeah. I don't know where these guys get these ideas from. I mean, it's really at Nick's shitpost. It's the best account I've ever seen. It's one of my favorite TKW ideas that somebody here thought of. This was Josh's throwaway on the first call we had together. He's like, hey, maybe we should make an account for that. I was like, all right, go for it. And I mean, they're killing it. So follow that account. It's a lot of fun. We look forward to it every single time there's a W. That's my main plug for today. I normally do the shirts. I normally do the whole follow the Knicks wall. And of course do that. But follow that shitpost account because amazing.
Every single time.
Pete did one yesterday, the RIP Bozo with the Trey jersey and the lollipop hair. I mean,
the lollipop.
Flawless.
I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So again, make sure you're following that account. But yeah, give us a 5-star rating review of this podcast. Helps us keep doing what we do. Got to get those stars, of course. We hope that you don't hate us too much and you'll do that for us after you get done listening to this. But we will talk to you hopefully after a better week of Knicks basketball in terms of let's start stringing some wins together, man. I'm tired of this win one, lose one bullshit. Let's just, let's put it together now. Let's get a little winning streak going, man. I'd like to come back and be like, wow, bro, just won 5 games in a row. Let's talk about it. I missed that energy from last year. I would like that a little bit more. So ride this momentum, fellas. Let's ride it. Let's get a win. Let's go Knicks. We'll talk to you guys next week. Take it easy.
Shout out Shump, winning Dance on the Stars.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, the vibes.
My guy Shaun.
NBA champion and Dancing with the Stars champion, Iman Shumpert. Once a Knick, always
a Knick.
I mean,
always.
They beaten JoJo Siwa. They didn't want to see him do it. They didn't want to see him do it. They gave him bad grades all season. They gave him unbelievable. A 9 or a 10 dance. They're giving him a 7. And you know what happened? Just came back and won it all. Just came against all odds. Nobody.
You're breaking down Dancing with the Stars.
The first NBA player ever
Versatility
to win Dancing with the Stars. I mean, the duality of man, an NBA champ and in the ballroom. I mean, really, just an incredible. You can't write it better than this. You just can't write it better than this.
We love to see it.
Love to see it. He's flourishing, man. So shout out Shump for real, and we will talk to you guys next week. Take it easy.
Adios.
Peace.